just seen a lot of stuff about him online, and I just think that
from everything
really,
you've read.
Yeah, like his opinion on women and the things he says about women is disgusting. Like I think that's like that's not even, that's an understatement. Like I just think, and then I think a lot of the younger generation is influenced by it, and they're gonna grow to think that what he says is okay.
And just because he has so much followers, like people like look up to him, I think that's okay to say that kind of stuff.
You know that he's been like
banned from social media. Yeah, I think that was a great move because it means that less people, less of the younger boys, they're going to think they can get away with stuff that he's getting away with.
Does that mean that you're not a fan of free speech?
No, it's
all
not
about
free speech. Just when you say, and like everybody can say what they want and everybody has their own opinion, but like stuff like that, it's just so inappropriate and disrespectful towards women. I think it's so wrong. We have a bit more respect for ourselves, I think.
And I think we have more respect for men.
Hi. So he has some interesting viewpoints. I think everything that is put out on social media is controversial stuff because that's what people talk about the most.
Yeah, that's true.
There's some stuff that he says, like if people watch his entire podcast, there's some stuff that might be relevant, that might be interesting. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but I think for the most part, everything that's put out on social media is the most controversial just because it's easier to get more views and everything like that.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily everything that he says.
I totally understand your point.
Yeah.
It's like they're putting out the worst parts of him. So it's like,
It's the thing that gets him most views.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot.
You're relaxed,
there's a lot of stuff that he says that isn't put out into social media.
Thank you.
Not necessarily saying that it's all good and all bad, but I think the thing that people are pushing is most harmful to young men and people nowadays, and that's what's most harmful about it. Is because he's not conscious about what he's saying.
You know what? I might have a different opinion. Some of what Andrew says is true. I'm not gonna lie. What he says is true, but because what he says is true doesn't align with what's necessarily always nice or kind. That's why I think he gets so much attention, especially with some of the things that he says about like manning up and just being real about the situation. Some of the things that he says, like with the men, like when they go through trauma, where they just man up. It's not practical. It's not true necessarily. Just giving into the stereotype of how men shouldn't share their feelings necessarily. However, some of the things he does say are more like a wake-up call, and people don't like a wake-up call, especially when it's not in line with their viewpoints and opinion. Because you can argue that society is becoming a bit more soft these days and accepting of literally everything, whereas Andrew's one of those guys who won't just go with the flow. He'll actually go against the flow when he personally disagrees.
You say it how it is.
He says it how it is. So sometimes people don't like that. I believe that it shouldn't be censored just because of somebody's opinion. However, it's not really like people like Andrew that should be controlled in media. It's like who should view that media, if that makes any sense. Like when it comes to the aging on different social medias like TikTok, kids who are like 6 or 7. Should that necessarily be allowed? Like I know the content, you know what I mean?
It's not necessarily Andrew Tate's fault because of like who is on social media nowadays. It's more necessary towards who is allowed on social media, because young kids and everything like that shouldn't be allowed to have that much power or control or like access to such open information when they're so susceptible to.
And perhaps the social media that should increase their security measures regarding content that kids can view, and actually doing better checks and verification of their age. It's so easy to lie these days. Even on YouTube, some of the children programs and little series, when you actually see the content of it, it's really wrong. But because it's hidden in like a cartoon or whatnot, it's not necessarily picked up. So maybe that's what they should better.
He's a psycho. So I genuinely do think he's got like sociopathic tendencies. Absolutely. He's tapped in the head. He was on Big Brother, like in the UK. You could tell then he was.
So you've seen him in Big Brother?
You could tell then early on he was, not quite right. But I also think it's slightly from doing it on purpose.
Attention.
Which is why I think it's part of like the sociopath
you think it could be fake?
No,
not necessarily all fake. I think he does deep down believe it. maybe, but I also think he knows it's controversial. He knows he wants to be this big personality. He thinks he was destined to be this big personality.
He knows what he's saying.
And I think he kind of
You're like a
knows
psychologist.
how to get it. Make this big bravado and make his little hustlers university or whatever traumatizing thing he's created to just big up this whole breed of man that he's creating.
Alright. And you two?
He's just an arsehole.
He's just awful.
I just hate him.
Okay. I mean, are you just saying that because of what you've heard and read online?
I don't think I've ever agreed with a single. Not from the statement, from the things I've heard him say. I don't think I've ever agreed with a single one.
Okay.
Not even like.
And how do you feel about him like getting censored and not being allowed to have any free speech anymore online? You think it's a good thing?
Yeah. I think it's good because I think free speech is free speech, and fair enough. I get it. So I get it's a comes in its grey areas and it gets difficult. But I think free speech is free speech until it
Gets too far.
is damaging. Until it's damaging. It's like hate speech. It's not allowed. It's not okay.
Yeah.
And if you're breeding this whole generation of men that are following him and agreeing with his beliefs, and it's then damaging to a whole gender.
Okay, I'm with a girl called Carla, but she doesn't want to be on camera, but she's happy to, there she is, she's happy to state her opinion.
I would just like to say that I'm glad he's off most social media, because I feel like he had a big toll on young people, and
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I think that he's probably he's very controversial for his opinions about women. For example, the thing he said about that women can't drive better than men. I think that's a wrong statement because mostly I think that women are way more careful of driving, so that doesn't make them, of course, better than men. But I think that it's also wrong to say that they are worse than them. So I agree.
I wonder if he said that because he's a bit obsessed with cars.
Yeah.
Probably likes to think that guys can drive better.
Yeah, I mean,
just purely because of his passion for cars.
Yeah.
Although, have you ever heard that girls have a different part of the brain for spatial awareness? That's why they have more trouble parking.
Oh, right. Well, I
don't know if this is definitely true, by the way. It's just something I heard.
Oh, I haven't heard about that actually.
Okay.
Well, that's a new thing to me.
All right. We should probably research that first before that gets clarified.